I'm going to go ahead and start recording this so that way we can have this up later for you guys to watch. The thing I'm going to talk about today, again, is going to be how to target certain types of customers with your site, whether you're a loan agent or a real estate agent. If I could get you guys to kind of put in the chat window what you are, and I'll try to kind of make sure I've got examples for both as well, depending on what you guys say. But one of the things I want to point you guys to is we do always have our help.pipeline ROI website, and let me get that in the chat window for you guys. This is a really great resource, and we're adding to it all the time, different articles and our own things that we're making for you guys to really help kind of pull back the curtain and lift the mystique into the whole, making a really good website that'll rank well, that'll help you guys bring in leads for your site. So where we're headed today is going to be this resources section. We have, these are some of our previous classes, and these are some articles that we've kind of, that's the word I'm thinking of, curated for you, that do kind of reinforce some of the topics, but from people other than just us. Where I'm actually headed is this customer persona template, and we're gonna download this so I can open that up, and I'm going to give you guys this specific link so that way if you want to kind of pull it up and follow along a little bit, you can. And I will figure out where the heck that downloaded to. Let's try this again, because it did ask me where I wanted to save it. Okay, so, oh, there it is. It's on my desktop. Okay, bring this over here. And just because this says buyer personas, it really talks about selling personas. And personas is kind of a really, I don't know, a better word is it's really defining about your audience. Why do you want to do that? It's so that way you can make sure that it lets you define kind of your own playing field on your site. You don't want to continue to kind of compete with everybody else out there that's really trying to make their site general and all-encompassing, because that's really confusing for people that are coming to you. By defining a niche, you're able to, again, define your own playing field where you can kind of set the rules and really differentiate yourself from the other agents in your area. So here, some of the ways we're targeting, even though this is a fictitious real estate site, we're not really a real estate company, but you can see that I'm targeting people that might be relocating to the area. This topic I could get even more specific with. In our area, we've got people relocating with actual businesses like Devon, Chesapeake, big energy companies, and then we've also got military relocation because we've got Tinker Air Force Base here in Oklahoma City. So if you are new or don't really have a niche, you can kind of pick up some ideas of where you think you might want to go. If you already have one, we're going to be discussing some ways you can really kind of highlight that more. There's a marksman saying that's aim small, miss small, which means that by maintaining the focus, you're going to be able to get higher quality leads that are going to wind up to the closing table, but you're not necessarily going to be, missing out on all of these other people that aren't within, this target that we're trying to pin on your site, because we've got things for sellers, things for buyers, We've even got first-time buyers. So there are a couple of different provided pages already available to you that you can use to kind of hit these different points. For the purpose of today, though, I want you to just pick one. If you're an agent starting out and you're trying to work with maybe some more buyers to get that experience under your belt, think about how you can more narrowly define buyers. Is it going to be first-time buyers? Is it going to be people looking to downsize their home? Is it going to be specifically millennial buyers? Because you could even do, generation specifics. Target. I'm not saying that you're doing. I don't remember the laws or anything like that, but that you're not necessarily discriminating and saying I only work with millennials. I don't work with anybody else. But kind of highlighting that specialty. Because millennials are going to want to see people that are engaged on social media, that have mobile responsive websites, that really kind of speak their internet tech language, versus if you were doing things with with seniors, moving to Florida or to warmer climates, you would put things on your site differently if you were trying to attract those types of buyers versus another. So another benefit to having a target on your site, or a target focus for certain areas of your site, is it drastically limits the amount of decisions that you have to make when it comes to your marketing, because you'll be able to immediately know, yes, this is going to resonate with a millennial buyer. No, they're not going to get it. If they're an older buyer or things like that. So it really does help you kind of drill down and have a greater focus on your efforts, so you get more value for what you're putting in to your business. Okay, so finding this again. So kind of shifting here, I'm not going to read through this. It's really kind of, we've got this example here. So one of the first things that you kind of want to think about is demographics. Here it could be, families buying their first home, or, newly married couples, or even, people looking for their first home and they're, single and on their own. That could be a very specific market in a metro area, that, they usually have different considerations or things versus somebody that may be looking for a family. What type of work do they do? That's where, having military specialization, or certain types of businesses. I've seen, I've actually built a website for a loan officer that primarily did loans for law enforcement, and that was his very specific, niche, his branding. That doesn't mean that he would turn away any loan that wasn't law enforcement. It's just that he had special rates and special programs that were for them. So if you're a loan officer, that's something that you can kind of do. And plus, I know on the military front, there are different certifications. I think USA Cares is one. There are different ones that you can do that will, that you'll be able to kind of add to your site and explain what those are. I am going to go down a rabbit hole just for a second when I'm talking about designations. I know real estate agents, there are a lot of ones you can get, like I think, is it ePro? ePro's one, accredited buyer's representative. There are a number of them. You want to put things on your site explaining what those are and why it's important to your customer to work with an agent that has that designation, because your average buyer does not know what a ABR is, or even, I mean, you guys, put in the extra investment, both time and money, to get that designation. Don't just kind of let it be vague to the people. Explain why it's important. Some other things as well, location. Is it, I know we've got a guy here that is talking about the the niche he's kind of carving out is specifically, the housing neighborhood area and additions that are where he currently lives. So you could be that specific with what you're doing. You could also do different regions too. So even down in the neighborhood level, I know that we've done sites for people that work primarily in retirement communities. So kind of consider that whenever you're doing it. The end result with kind of going through this ebook worksheet here is that you're going to wind up kind of having a fictitious person, if you will, that you'll be able to use whenever you're writing content, blog posts, making videos, things like that for your site. And that really does help because you're able to talk to them a lot more naturally. The language is a lot more natural versus trying to, keep it at a high level. You're not going to get, graded on this like you did in English in college and high school. Not going to happen. Use your natural voice because people are going to connect with that a lot more. And that's really the goal of all of this. You guys know that this is a relationship-based business. What we're trying to teach and help you through what we're discussing today and with the other videos that we've got available is all about helping you build that relationship through using inbound marketing, so you're attracting the right type of buyers or sellers to you. So that way you're getting higher quality of leads, so you're not spending time or money, buying leads that are generic and don't really necessarily either fit or go anywhere, or spending your time, kind of chasing down the ones that aren't, really ready to buy. This next bit, communication really is key, because it doesn't matter if you like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, Snap, any of the social media platforms that are out there. What matters is being where your people are. So if Facebook is a good general one to get started, we do have a social media video that talks about getting started on Facebook, and as well as it covers a little bit of Twitter. Facebook is good because it has the highest growing, their highest growing demographic is, I think, people either over the age of 40, 35 to 40, or higher. And those are the people right now that are looking to buy houses. Millennials are coming into that as well. A lot of them are still on Facebook, many of them on Twitter, and some of the others. So really defining, again, figuring out what your target is going to help you decide where to focus your social media efforts, because you have to be on social media these days. People are a lot more willing to engage with you through Facebook or Twitter or something like that, versus, they may not always fill out that lead capture form on your site. Or they'll connect with you on Facebook, you get them over to your site, and then they feel comfortable because they've already interfaced with you on social media without having to give up a lot of their own information in order to know that you're going to be a valuable connection for them, because that's what they want. Is you have to prove value before they're going to be giving you that information and those leads. So, and you can see that we've kind of filled this out a little bit just as an example. And we even gave her a name, Brenda Byer. You can do something similar and just have that in your head when you're writing. Of course, in this industry, making sure you know what the home type is, because, having saved searches for specifically condos can go a long way to branding yourself as a local condo expert. I know I've worked with agents in Las Vegas and Miami that both have really kind of carved out that specific area and as a result, they're doing really well in their business because they're kind of setting their own boundaries and their own rules instead of trying to play with everybody in the same sandpit. For me, the concerns is one of the biggest areas where you want to kind of spend a little bit more time brainstorming, because once you kind of get some of those other, the demographics, how they like to be, communicated with, location and a home type, where you're really going to see the most engagement with your site and the everybody wants to get to the top of Google, and that's great. Where that's going to be happening and how you do that is going to be hitting on their pain points. What are their biggest issues or concerns? So let's throw out some examples, and you guys can feel free to add your own examples or thoughts or ideas in the chat window. I encourage it, because this is really meant to kind of help you guys really hone in on getting this. And the best way to do it is to kind of go through and think about this as we're discussing it. Rewatch the video later. For those of you that are rewatching it, I would probably print out the ebook, or just kind of note paper or type or whatever. Take notes as you're watching it. I really, not necessarily on what I'm saying, but more the ideas that are being generated from what I'm saying, because you guys know your business better than I do. You know where you're seeing the most return for maybe the leads and business is already occurring for you. I know I spoke to an agent recently that they're newer and have found themselves doing a lot of relocation type work. So when we were discussing some ideas for the site, I recommended that she kind of keep going with that, since that's what was working for her, and really find some ways to even get more specific with it. But so let's see, concerns. Okay, yeah, sorry. So first-time home buyers, what are some ideas that you guys might have for concerns before I kind of share mine? Okay, you guys are being shy today. That's okay. As long as you're writing down your own ideas, that's fine too. So for first-time home buyers, kind of resetting my own brain back about, was it 3 years, we were starting to look for our first home about this time. No, sorry, 4 years. Doesn't matter. I knew a lot because I've worked for Alamodin Pipeline for the last 5 years, and before that I worked for Chase. So I know a little bit about what goes on in the transaction process without actually going through it myself. But things that I remember learning along the way were what are the costs up front of even just getting through the process that first-time buyers need to be aware of. That would be a good question that they would have that you could answer in a blog post. You could have a page on your site that kind of breaks it down and talks about it, the general costs in your area. That would also be a good thing if you're a loan officer on this. Mortgage broker, I kind of use those interchangeably, even though I know they're very different jobs. Sorry guys, but use those questions that you guys get working with your customers. Use those as information that you should have on your site, because what people do nowadays is if they've got a question, I'm going to shift gears over here. So if they've got a question, they're going to do they're going to go to Google and they're going to do a Google search. And the goal here is you're going to want to get your actual content pages ranking here. And by having targeted, customer, your little buyer's persona or seller's persona or whatever you want to call it, that's going to help keep you focused to getting, writing unique content that's going to have the answers to the challenges and questions that this kind of customer has, which is how you're going to get the search engine rank. We do have a video on our YouTube that kind of covers how to use search engine term, or getting ahead of myself. We have a video on our YouTube where I basically will take you through the search that I just did, how to reverse engineer kind of what the top ranking sites are doing and be able to put your own spin on it so you'll be able to compete or beat the people that are in that list. Because one right now, a good niche that I don't see a lot of information on is first-time sellers. There's a ton of information out there for first-time buyers. So if maybe you're an agent that's looking to transition to handling more listings rather than walking buyers through the process, I would start making your site a little bit more seller focused, and first-time seller information is going to be a great way to do that. So think about the listings that you do get. If it is their first time selling the home, what are some of the questions that they've got? So again, kind of think, because it's not necessarily what are the biggest concerns within the home, but it can be the questions or problems within the entire process, whether that's, let's see, I'm trying to think of another example. We've got a gentleman that primarily does apartment sales, but it's the clients he's targeting are going to be people that don't have time to do all of the legwork to run around and look at different apartments and all of that. So they help people find the apartments because they don't have the time. So you're really only limited by kind of your creativity. The next step to, once you've got the concerns, is how do you turn that into an ask for their information so you can kind of follow up with them to learn more about their own unique situation, so that way you can start fostering that relationship and getting them, closer to the closing table. With this, you really kind of want to do more of a soft sell rather than, a full hard one. But the way you do it is if you're using the inbound marketing philosophies correctly, and a lot of that has to do with producing great content that answers your customers' needs, because you don't want to be this information silo anymore. People expect to have at least some information available online, and the more you're either blogging or you've got the information on your site in addition to blogging to highlight some of those points. I plan on doing a repurposing class at some point where you can reuse some of your content on your site. But the more you can kind of showcase, that gives social proof of your expertise in your area. Plus it gives people more pages on your site to navigate, so they're going to spend longer on your site, which the search engines pick up on, and it gets weighted in the overall ranking of your site. So that's kind of how that comes into play. This does have a blank one. Then you can kind of go through. So sellers a little bit different, but you'll notice it's kind of the same information that's there. The only difference with that is, values. What sellers are going to want to know, what are you going to do to sell my house? If you've been an agent very long. You guys know this. So think about what makes you unique from your competition, and how you sell and market homes to get them off of the market quickly. And then, of course, the sales pitch that we've got. And then I'll let you kind of go through that. All right. So now that we've gone through that, I'm going to show you how you can, we'll pretend like we've got one. I'm going to use my my relocating example. And I'm going to show you what you can do on your site once you're armed with this information. Okay. So the first thing, with my relocation person in mind, another idea too is what sort of lifestyle are they looking for? Are they looking for, are you wanting to work with more urban buyers versus maybe people that are looking for the quiet life in the country and all of that? So you can really get detailed, even down to like what magazines do they like to read, what sort of blogs do they like to read, and you can kind of see some correlation there. I'm trying to look because I've got some notes here as well. How are they? A really good one is how are they likely to hear about your services for the first time? I know when we were needing, I don't remember what it was at this point, but I remember it was a pediatrician for my son. I just asked my Facebook friends that I'd grown up with that were still in the area, saying, "Hey, do you have any recommendations?" And got a lot of feedback. That's I'm a millennial-ish. I'm on the older side of the millennials, but that's how, if you're wanting to work with millennial buyers, that's how we kind of crowdsource the information. People are going to ask for recommendations from their network. So with the relocating to Oklahoma City, things that we've done on this site to target that specific type of customer. I've got a page dedicated to them. Oftentimes that's all you need to at least get started. So that should be your initial goal once you create your buyer, seller, or applicant persona, is to create a page just for them. Very easy to do. Our support team can help you if you need assistance with that, but because I'll pull it up here in a second, but I'm not necessarily going to walk through creating it, just because we do already have it. But we're going to go to this page. So you'll see here I've kind of given it some information about neighborhoods. If you're looking to maybe talk more to the relocation, keep in mind many of them probably have never been to the state before, or if they've been in the state, they may not be familiar with the area. Their main concerns are going to be, what's my lifestyle that I'm going to be living? Where are, if they have kids, what are the good schools? What neighborhood is going to fit what I'm looking for? And that's where you, as the local area experts, are going to draw them in, because Zillow doesn't have that information. Realtor.com doesn't have that information. You guys are the trustees of that information, because you're the ones with your boots on the ground and walking those neighborhoods every day as you guys help people find the home of their dreams. So what we've done here sort of is just built a simple page in the back end. You can put pictures in it. So and that's one thing that's really easy as well, is if you're doing neighborhood targeting or community pages, which generally speaking you should be doing anyway. but this is just another way that you can kind of do a little targeting. You can take pictures with your smartphone. If it's a phone that I want to say has been within the last couple of years, you can get some really good pictures. Taking your own pictures is a really cool way to let your customers see your neighborhood and the areas that you're the expert in kind of through your eyes. And that we're a visual society now. And that can help them connect with you in a way that, you know, the words that you're saying don't necessarily. People would rather look at a picture a lot of times than read kind of a wall of text is sometimes how it's referred to. But you do still want to have kind of some either bullet points, or you can have a list, but have some additional information and then link, because right here I've got it linked to each specific search. So granted, this isn't completely built out, but since this is information for people relocating, I'm focusing on, you know, the 10 different neighborhoods I want to highlight, because that's where I'm either seeing the most return in my business, or those are the ones that, you know, I really like really like talking about, because enthusiasm is infectious. So I could list a couple of other ones here. And then you can link to those saved searches. So this is a way that you can kind of keep people getting deeper and deeper into your site. Again, site engagement is a big factor. So the more that you've got for the customers to go through, the better off it is. Whether that's you've got some really good kind of evergreen pages that you've got set up, and then you keep your site fresh with the, you know, the occasional monthly or weekly blog post, you'll be good with that. Okay, so and targeting as well also helps you know what to share on social media, because whenever you're sharing on your business page, you want to make sure that what you're sharing is going to resonate with the people that you're trying, again, to attract. I'm going to show you, I'm going to pull up my Twitter so you guys can actually kind of see what I've done. I use this one. I'm actually just going to go to my profile so you can see this. I use this one kind of for, you know, not necessarily pipeline promotion, but it's more, I share things around inbound marketing. I share things around ways to think design-related things, search engine optimization articles that I found really informative and easy to understand, things like that. So for example, you know, you've got the, you know, this article about LinkedIn that I've posted. I'm trying to think, you know, one of the bloggers that I follow for social media says, you know, think of, you know, no more than 5 main topics to share on. So I guess if I were to have to list this, or what I kind of, what people can expect by following me on Twitter, it's going to be, you know, social media related news, inbound marketing related news, design type articles or other things that I've read, and you know, search engine optimization information. And then I have something that's, when you have something a little fun or personal, as you guys may have, if you've been live on any of these classes and have noticed my shirts, I'm kind of a geek. I'll admit it, specifically and especially Star Wars. So I'll share Star Wars stuff occasionally. see, maybe, yeah, like I shared this from one of the groups that I follow. I'm actually part of this group. But yeah, so it's something not necessarily SEO, inbound marketing related, but it shows a little personality. But primarily, 4 out of those 5 things were business related. So having the target audience lets you know what sort of articles you should be looking for, either through blogs or using Twitter. And we'll do a separate class on that, because that's kind of its own own animal. But that will yeah. But that's one of the ways you can again, sorry, my brain keeps chasing itself, but that is the way that you can, again, not have as many decisions to make when it comes to what should I share on social media? I don't know. Well, if you've limited yourself to 5 or less topics that'll resonate with your audience, that makes it really easy to find and to curate articles of your own, because you don't want to just share your own information on your social media. I would not have this many followers, and this number's been built up over 2 years, and that's not with me really actively trying to pursue a lot of followers, which means that the people that are following me genuinely want to follow and engage with me, because how many followers and likes and whatever really doesn't matter. What matters is the level of engagement with social media, because I would rather have this many followers, but all of them be really engaged with knowing what either I'm saying, or now I don't necessarily have my own blog right now, but versus you'll if you join one of these, you probably have gotten the get 10,000 followers, get this many followers. Followers really don't matter. Engagement is what the search engines look for. So that's just something to keep in mind with these. So shifting gears, so let's look at this page. All right, so to get to the back end, you just type inbound marketing, and then after your domain, hit enter, and it's going to bring you to the back end. Sorry, I'm just making sure it keeps me on this page since I've already got that pulled up here. From here, what you'll do is go to the website content page, and it's going to make me log back in again. Oops, I think I hit extra buttons. We'll find out. Ha! It let me in. Okay, so clicked here, brought me in here. Go to my content. This is where you're going to be editing most of the sub pages on your site. The only one you do not need to touch is your home page if we've built you a mobile responsive site, which if you don't have one, I would recommend it, mainly because over 60% of searches are happening on mobile devices now. That's why Google changed their algorithm in 2015, April 2015, to more heavily favor in rank weighting mobile responsive sites like what the design team built. Okay, but all the rest of these, excuse me, you're able to go in and edit. since what we created is going to be under custom. And when you're creating targeted content for whatever buyer seller persona that you've come up with as you are working through that workbook. And again, if you need the link, it's in the chat window. Just let me know if I need to put it back in there, and I'll be more than happy to do that. You're going to be starting in the custom area, since again, our provided pages are generic on purpose because we can't tell your business's story better than you can because you're the ones that know your business. And this is just something to keep in mind too. One analogy that I found kind of really helpful, and a lot of it may be because I like to write in general. I also like to read a lot of fiction as well. But if it helps, your buyer persona is going to be like a character in your story, and your central character is going to be the customer you're trying to target. And your site content is kind of telling the story of what that customer needs to know, what the challenges are, and how to overcome them. It's really important for your potential audience to see themselves in the story that your site tells. The reason why is there's just something that's an emotional connection when there's a story kind of being told. It's a much deeper level, and it's I can't really explain it, but it just works because it's more engaging rather than here's the dry, this is how the loan process works, this is what you need to do to buy a house. It's a lot more warm, friendly, authentic, more human. And people want to interact with people. Search engine rank anymore is not about what's under the hood. It is about what the customer can see and interact with. So that's why it's kind of important to make sure that we've got parts of the story of your site that resonate with the customers you're trying to attract. Because if you guys read it all, think about the books that you really enjoy. I bet you could find pieces of yourself or identify really well with one or more of the characters. Same thing here, just a creative application thereof. So if I was creating one from scratch, I would just click this Add New button, but since I've already got one, and this is the same way you can edit any of the subpages, and since I've already got one created, provided I can find it, there it is, click on the name, it's going to bring me here. I'm going to shift this over to the other monitor just for a second so I can kind of show you what's what here. So the button name is what's going to show up here. Obviously this doesn't match this because those aren't the same things, but when I was looking under for buyers, move that over, but for buyers, relocating to Oklahoma City, you can see more of it if I stretch it out. The web address, you only need to enter in what's going to show up after the slash here. The reason it doesn't match that is because of me typing in inbound marketing earlier. Doesn't have to be long. Some SEO, or whenever I say SEO, I don't know if I've explained that, search engine optimization. Some SEO experts will say, make sure this has your keywords in it. Really, it's not as big a weighting factor as some of them make it out to be. If you can do so naturally, yeah, absolutely. Like, relocating to Oklahoma City. OKC is an abbreviation. Search engines are smart enough to know that. So let's go back here, because see, this is OKC right there, moving to OKC, but it knows that it's Oklahoma City. Search engines are a lot smarter now. You don't have to hit the nail on the head, because this says moving to, this one says relocate to Oklahoma City, moving to Oklahoma City. So it doesn't have to hit on the head to get rank. There we go. Okay. So once we've got kind of the button name, so somebody can very easily, bam, okay, I'm relocating to this area, this is the page for me. You can use the editor. It works just like a word processor. So let's okay, there you go. I'm trying to think of an area that I'm familiar with in Oklahoma City. But things that I have done with this here, because ideally what you would want to do if you're doing something like a top 10 list or something like that, to highlight certain neighborhoods. One, I would maybe make a list of your neighborhoods, and this is a little not quite so making things targeted unless you're actually targeting working in a very specific area, but this is information more that you should have on your site anyway. Maybe come up with, don't even worry about doing 10, do 5, do your 5 main areas, and kind of come up with an initial topic sentence for each one. And then you'll want to expand a little bit on each topic. So you're not, you can stop, I guess, at the one sentence level if you want, but where you're going to get a better opportunity to put in search terms naturally for the page is if you're actually adding a couple more sentences to that. And you could write sentences on that. Adding an image is a good idea. So let's delete this image, and I'll show you how you can add that in. I've got my cursor where I want it, and I just hit return to get to this point. I'm going to click on my little picture guy right here, and it's going to load my file library. I have a lot of stuff in there, so it may take a second. I already have this picture uploaded, but if I needed to upload a new one, I just click on upload, select, browse to wherever the file is, click on open, and then click on upload. I don't need to do that, so I'm not going through that process, but I'm going to click on this since that's the picture I want to use. I'm just going to click to insert it, and if I want to make it smaller, I can use the arrow here, or I can put in something specific like 500. Let me see automatically, and it'll automatically go to pixels. So there you go. You can see that it's about the same width as the text is there. So there you go. Again, works just like a word processor. It's going to adopt whatever the overall style hierarchy that the design team has put together for your site. So you don't really need to worry about, font or font size. Don't touch those. The ones that you do want to touch are the heading 1, heading 2, or heading 3, or normal, because that's what's going to apply certain looks to your text. Headlines, you do want to use them. They should be kind of the most important thing, obviously. And then usually heading 1 and then heading 2, and then on down. So yeah, we can go a lot more in depth into the tools, but I'm going to leave that for another class. And then, yeah. The other thing too that you're going to want to do is when you're targeting, you want to make sure that your page has unique titles and descriptions, because that's what's going to show up in the search ranks. So this page title right here is what's going to show up in this link. You want to keep it to about 1 line. There is a character limit. If you go beyond that, they'll do like a little ellipsis here. And you can, what I would do is I would watch the video that shows, let me look at let me find our exact video, that way you're looking at the right one. Oh, wait, I need playlists, that's what I need. Here we go. This is the one that I'm looking for. And there you go. Wow, that's still really weird. Oh, no, that is right. There you go. So you guys can use this, because this is me effectively teaching you how to use these to kind of come up with good examples to set yourself apart here and here from the people that are already ranking in that. Because once you have your target audience, that's going to enable you to really think about what search terms are being used to find your site. The more local and specific you can make it, the better. Let me throw this up real quick. You may have seen this in one of my previous classes. Having your target helps you get to this point, and then these are the things you want to kind of think about when you're creating content, so that way you can kind of pepper those in naturally as you're typing, and use variations of it, because again, like you saw, search engines, you don't have to have the exact phrasing, though the one in this case with the current algorithm, they make thousands of changes every year. But with the current algorithm, the one that had the keyword that matched the relocating to Oklahoma City had higher rank than the one that said moving to. So by using variants of your search terms, that gives you the chance to kind of rank 4 different terms. Food for thought. Let's see. Oh, we've got about 10 minutes. I'm going to open it up real quick to any questions, but real quick, I'm going to finish up the keywords part right here, and then I'll open up to questions, because I think Thursday, I know we're going to be going in depth, probably a lot more into more of the site features and how to do some of that stuff. But you'll see here we've, in our example, and this is also in that resources section as well that I linked initially, the help.pipeline.roi.com. That'll take you to our help section. Click on the resources button. It'll take you to where you can get all of our ebooks, including the buyer persona that I had up earlier, as well as the keyword map example I've got up now. But you'll see how it's like very generic here. Then you get a little bit more local. The competition at this level is insane. By getting really narrower, it's not as bad, but when you start hitting target niches, like buying vacation property in Naples, Florida, there's probably, you've narrowed that scope a lot more, and people are more likely to do longer. These are usually referred to as long tail and short tail keywords. And buying property in Naples, Florida, that sounds like a phrase that you could easily have in your site. So just things to kind of keep in mind when you're going, generic, local, hyper local, and then you can do, if you had listings, loan officers. I know I haven't been giving you guys as many examples, but for example, keyword would be, you know, uh, VA loan, or, VA loans in, I'm throwing out a state, Massachusetts. Sorry, base, I don't know. You could do VA loans for condos, or special financing. You could, again, you're really only kind of limited by your imagination. Think of, all right, I've got kind of my area. Is there a way I can narrow that just a little bit more? Because that's the way you stand out in a very saturated market. And there are a lot of loan officers out there, a lot of real estate agents. So people looking for these services do get a lot of noise that can be very overwhelming of, how do I choose which agent? I know I need one, but how do I know I'm going to get one that has the knowledge that I need, and is going to be the best person to guide me through that process? The best and easiest way, share that information on your site, because that's going to put people at ease, because you are so forthcoming. And I understand a lot of you will keep it generic on your site, which that's fine, but then you can have that lead capture call to action that's, have questions about your specific situation, fill out the short form below, and I'll contact you to give you a personalized consult or something like that. So that's just a good idea. We'll do a couple more minutes for questions. But other than that, you guys have a great day.